The applicant. The hotel ballroom smells like industrial carpet cleaner and stale coffee. Fluorescent light from the drop ceiling washes everything in a color that flatters no one. Hundreds of applicants for a handful of positions, everyone wearing a suit they cannot quite afford. She bought hers on a payment plan 2 weeks ago. The blazer sits a little wide at the shoulders. The skirt is a half size off. The tights are the specific shade the recruitment brief recommended, purchased at a department store the night before because the local pharmacy did not stock anything close. The airline sets up folding tables at the front of the ballroom. Recruiters walk the line of candidates without introducing themselves. 30 seconds of eye contact. Every smile and handshake is being measured. Nobody explains what they are looking for. Nobody is going to. Reach check comes next. Many airlines still have reach requirements, explained as a safety necessity because cabin crew must be able to reach emergency equipment and overhead areas. Every candidate is asked to reach for a specific mark on the ballroom wall. Some fall short. Some pretend they did not. The group exercise is a 5-minute simulated customer complaint about a broken tray table on a non-existent flight. 8 applicants around a plastic conference table. 2 of them talk too much. 3 do not talk at all. She lands somewhere in between, which is what the recruiters wrote down about her. She applies to 6 airlines before one calls back. The rejection letters all begin with the same sentence. Thank you for your interest. The offer email lands at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday, 3 weeks after the ballroom. She reads it 3 times to make sure it is real. The Trainee. The Training Academy is a converted airport hotel 2 shuttle stops from the terminal, cheap fluorescent classrooms, a cafeteria with the same 3 lunches on rotation, and dormitory rooms shared with another trainee. 60 trainees from 20 countries move in on the same Sunday afternoon. Week 1 is the uniform fitting, hair off the collar, no visible tattoos, 1 piercing per ear, nails a specific length, a specific shape, a specific palette of colors approved by policy. The tailor pins the skirt. The instructor watches the tailor pin the skirt. Week 2 is the door. She learns to operate a Boeing 737 emergency exit under time pressure while shouting evacuation commands over a simulated fire, a smoke machine set to full, and an alarm designed to be genuinely difficult to think through. The protective stance at the door is drilled until it becomes muscle memory. Arms up, eyes outside, commands loud enough to cut through panic, the kind of movement she will rehearse quietly in her head before every takeoff for the rest of her career. 3 trainees are cut in the second week with very little explanation. Their rooms are empty by dinner. Nobody asks. The safety demonstration is choreographed in front of a mirror. The exact angle of the arm pointing at the emergency exit. The exact way the demonstration life vest is held. The exact pause between the words shoulder and harness so the passenger has time to process each syllable. It gets rehearsed until she can do it in her sleep. Some trainees do it in their sleep. The academy exams have high pass marks, and retakes are limited. 2 trainees fail. They pack their bags on Friday. The remaining group does not talk about it. The briefing on handling unwanted passenger attention comes on a Wednesday morning in week 5. It appears on the airline's training slides between a slide about spilled drinks and a slide about a passenger requesting an unavailable meal option. It is treated as a customer service scenario. She takes the same notes on it that she took on the drinks slide. Graduation happens at the end of training. The instructor pins the wings to her chest, a tiny metal pin that suddenly feels heavier than it should. She keeps the pin on the uniform lapel for the train ride home that evening because she cannot bring herself to take it off yet. Reserve. The apartment is a 15-minute drive from the airport. She shares it with 3 other crew from 3 different airlines, none of them ever sleeping at the same time. Somebody is always on standby. Somebody is always coming off a flight. The living room has a couch that smells like different perfumes. The phone charges on the pillow now. It rings at any hour. Short call reserve can mean only a couple of hours to report. At some airlines and bases, the window feels even tighter. She lives inside that window whether she is off duty or not. The go bag by the door is packed for 5 climates. She does not know if the call out is for Reykjavik or Riyadh until the crew scheduling desk tells her. and by then she has 10 minutes to make the call on which coat to take. She stops washing certain uniform items so they stay ready. 60% of the call-outs in the first year are for routes the senior crew refused. The bad turnarounds, the red-eyes into and out of hubs with weather, the ones where the layover is 9 hours in a hotel that closes its kitchen before the crew bus arrives. She meets someone in a hotel bar in the 3rd month. He works in shipping. She flies out at 6 the next morning. He texts for 2 weeks. She lets it fade. Somebody in every crew is doing some version of this. Nobody at home ever finds out. First-year pay lands somewhere between $28,000 and $35,000 depending on airline and hours flown. She has a second job on days off, working retail at a suburban mall, which she does not mention in the crew room. The phone rings at 3:41 on a Tuesday. She is dressed and out the door in 22 minutes. That is the job now. The junior. She is off reserve, bidding for real schedules for the first time, usually the back of the aircraft, economy, the last 3 rows, the row before the toilets. This is the rank where the job becomes what it actually is. The meal cart can feel like a piece of industrial equipment when it is fully loaded. It does not turn corners. On any incline in the aisle, it rolls back toward whoever is pushing it. Her palms callous in the 2nd month. She stops wearing rings on shift because the metal digs into her fingers when she breaks the cart. 14-hour flights on her feet. Patent leather regulation shoes designed for looking a certain way in the cabin, not for standing that long. She learns which airports have the best crew rooms for elevating her feet during turnarounds. She learns which layover hotels have bathtubs. The passenger in 34B calls her sweetheart when she brings his drink. She smiles the way she was trained to smile. She rolls the cart to row 35. On a Frankfurt-bound flight 2 months later, a passenger in premium economy slips a business card into the finished meal tray. Handwritten note on the back. She smiles the same way. She rolls the cart to row 24. On the same route, 6 weeks after that, a passenger from row 18 follows her off the aircraft and waits in the gate area until her purser notices and walks her to the crew bus. A male colleague on the same flight intervenes in the jet bridge. On a different flight, a different male colleague sees the same situation and finds a reason to be busy in the galley. Both kinds of people exist in this job. Layover hotels start to blur. She orders room service alone and eats it on the bathroom floor because housekeeping has already made up the bed and she does not want to mess it up. She has a favorite bar in Doha, a favorite noodle place in Tokyo. The specific ability to fall asleep in any environment within 90 seconds of horizontal. By year 3, the money is usually better than reserve, but still depends brutally on the airline, contract, base, and hours actually flown. A business class filler shift once a month reminds her that a different version of this job exists 2 curtains forward. 3 years in, 47 countries, over 200 hotel rooms. She has stopped calling her family after long trips because she cannot explain what any of it is like anymore. The senior. She bids to business class. Same job, different curtains. Everything about the work quietly upgrades. The galley is smaller than the one she used to work in economy. The equipment is nicer. Some meals arrive from the catering trucks already plated. She rolls silverware into linen napkins at 38,000 feet, with the precision of a waiter in a restaurant she could never afford when she first started. Seat 4A, the London to New York rotation on Thursday evenings, is irregular. The same passenger for months. He always wants the same red wine after takeoff. He never asks. She never mentions it. It is waiting before he has to remind her. He leaves a Christmas card 1 December. He barely says her name. Senior crew start wanting her on their trips because she runs a clean galley. The compliment means nothing to any passenger who has ever flown. It means everything in the crew room. The executive in seat 2C, on and off her flights for 6 months, assumes business class service comes with her phone number. She is older now. She handles it differently. First names only. Professional distance. A specific smile she developed because she needed it. That closes conversations without seeming rude. It is a skill she did not have at 23. By year 8, the pay is comfortable. Flight pay, seniority, better trips, and per diems finally start adding up. She lives alone in a 1-bedroom apartment for the first time in her adult life. She sees her sister's kids twice a year now. On the 2 weeks of leave they still manage to take together. The specific quiet of the business class cabin at 2 in the morning on a Tokyo to London flight. All passengers asleep. Galley lights dimmed to yellow. She stands at the front of the cabin, looks down the aisle, and for a few minutes the job is exactly what she thought it would be at 22. Purser. She runs the cabin now. The pre-flight briefing happens at the crew room table 45 minutes before boarding. 6 to 14 people sitting in front of her, most of whom she has never flown with, some of whom she has known for years. She assigns positions. She reads the special service requests. She goes over the aircraft-specific safety items for the day's equipment. She notes any known issues in the cabin from the previous crew's report. The interphone to the captain is on the panel by door 1L. Specific button. She will press it more times in a career than she will use her own phone. Diversions get discussed on that button. Medical events get called ahead on that button. Passenger disruptions serious enough for the captain to know about get reported on that button. The passengers other crew members cannot handle become her problem. The one who was refused boarding but boarded anyway through a gate agent error. The one whose child is having a full meltdown in row 22 while the parents ignore it. The two who need to be reseated because they used to be married and did not realize they were on the same flight. She handles all of it before the door closes. The medical event on the Heathrow inbound is a suspected cardiac event in row 32, 3 hours out from landing. She calls the captain. She works the interphone. The captain considers a diversion to Reykjavik. She contributes to the decision without being the one who makes it. He decides to continue. She sits with the passenger's wife for the next 2 hours. The junior crew member cries in the galley after a passenger was handsy during the meal service. She handles the passenger. She handles the crew member. She remembers being both. By year 15, the pay lands well into 6 figures on long-haul routes, though the exact number depends on the airline, the equipment, and the seniority number. She stops thinking about it much. She walks through the terminal at Heathrow after the diverted flight in her purser uniform. Passengers still angry, her crew still shaken. She goes to the hotel, orders room service, sits on the floor of the room, and eats it standing up because the shift she is about to have will be paperwork and phone calls with the airline until 2 in the morning. The manager. The airline offers her the ground role in her 16th year. Cabin crew base manager, the office at headquarters, no more flying or almost none, an occasional line check or familiarization flight to stay close to the operation. The office is on the 4th floor of the airline's corporate building. Gray carpet, a window facing the ramp. She sees wide bodies push back from her desk. She sees them rotate and climb into the westbound sky. The specific tightness in her chest when this happens does not go away in the first year. She stops noticing it in the second. She manages a base of 500 crew members. Most of them do not want to see her. Disciplinary hearings happen in a small conference room down the hall, with union representatives on one side and airline HR on the other, and her in the middle. She has to be the person the crew members quietly resent and the person the airline can rely on to hold the line. Some days she cannot tell whether she has done either. The incident reports come across her desk every Monday morning. Passenger interaction reports her crews have filed. The airline's formal safety process handles them according to a matrix she helped write. She helps decide which ones escalate. The ones that get escalated are handled seriously. The ones that do not, do not. For the first time, the money feels like management money. She buys a small house near the airport. It has a spare bedroom she does not use. She joins a familiarization flight to Madrid. The purser on the trip is a woman she hired 8 years ago. The purser calls her ma'am on the interphone. She sits in seat 3A in business class and quietly cries during the safety demo because the choreography has not changed since she was 23. Retired. The last flight happens on a Tuesday in October. The airline knows. The crew knows. Her family is in the cabin. The gate agent makes an announcement at boarding. The flight attendants say something over the PA before takeoff. After landing at the home base, the fire trucks may be waiting on the taxiway. They arch water over the aircraft in the traditional ceremonial salute, the same kind of salute passengers usually associate with captains. The crew hugs her in the galley. 3 of them cry. She does not. She walks through the terminal in uniform. Strangers who overheard the announcement shake her hand. She smiles. She thanks them. She feels something between sadness and relief and cannot name it. She sits in seat 1A for a moment after everyone has deplaned, alone, trying to memorize the specific yellow of the galley lights. The apartment feels enormous the next morning. She wakes at 3 anyway because that was when the reserve call used to come. The phone is silent. The airline sends a birthday card every year for a few years. Then it stops. The one letter she keeps in a drawer is from a man whose father had a medical event on a flight 20 years ago. She had coordinated with the captain, called ahead for medical, and stayed with the man for the last 40 minutes of the flight while his father was stable. He wrote to her 20 years later after his father died of natural causes. He wanted to thank her for the extra time she had given him with his father. She had forgotten the flight number. She had forgotten his name. She still has the letter. 35 years. 1 million passengers carried to weddings, funerals, job interviews, first dates, last goodbyes. The invisible woman in the galley who kept them alive, comfortable and calm. They never knew her name. That was fine. That was the job. Mornings now start at 4 because the body does not know how to sleep past it. Coffee on the porch. A contrail at 35,000 feet heading east, probably transatlantic. She does the math on where it is. She knows exactly what the galley looks like at that moment. She knows the crew is on their second meal service. She knows the purser is stressed. She knows a junior is probably trying not to cry somewhere. Somewhere right now, a woman is sitting in a hotel ballroom in a suit she cannot quite afford, waiting for a recruiter to walk past and decide whether she is what they are looking for. The carpet is cheap. The fluorescent light is harsh. A vending machine hums in the corner. She has no idea what the next 35 years will cost her. She will figure it out. They always do.